I speak 9 languages, said David Johnson, the 14-year-old son of a black cleaning lady. The Arab millionaire laughed, his voice booming across the glass-walled Manhattan penthouse. Hassan al-Mansouri, oil tycoon, predator by instinct, leaned back in his $15,000 leather chair and roared, 9 languages? Kid, you can barely speak English. David stood still, clutching his worn public school backpack, humiliation burning his cheeks but his gaze steady. His mother, Grace Johnson, 42 years old and carrying her cleaning bucket, trembled. She cursed herself for letting her son accompany her to work. For Hassan, worth $3.5 billion, this was amusement. A poor boy, son of his cleaning lady, claiming to master 9 languages? Impossible. David, Grace whispered urgently, apologize to Mr. Al-Mansouri. Years of submission weighed down her voice. No need for apologies, Hassan sneered, enjoying the power. I want to hear this fantasy. Tell me, boy, what are these 9 languages you supposedly speak? David inhaled. At 14, he already knew the world judged him by labels, black poor son of a cleaning lady in the Bronx. Yet he answered calmly, English, Spanish, French, German, Arabic, Mandarin, Russian, Italian, and Portuguese. The words rang clear, accented with precision. Hassan's laughter faltered for a moment before he barked, Liar! Grace, your son needs a psychiatrist, not an audience. He's delusional. Grace lowered her head in shame. She had endured Hassan's insults for 5 years, but watching her son be mocked cut deeper than any wound. Mom? David said softly, touching her arm. It's okay. Hassan leaned forward, savoring his dominance. You're jealous of my executive's children, aren't you, David? They attend private schools and you, what? You invent stories to feel special? David spoke, voice calm yet cutting. Sir, do you speak Arabic? Of course, Hassan said proudly. It's my native tongue. David's lips curved. In flawless classical Arabic, he replied, Al-ilm nur wal-jahlu zulma, al-sabr miftah al-hakika. The silence was deafening. Hassan froze, recognizing advanced grammar and perfect pronunciation. This was no memorized phrase. Grace, confused, glanced between them. Hassan leaned forward, stunned. Where did you learn that? At the public library, sir, David said. They have free language programs every afternoon. For the first time in years, Hassan felt something alien stir in his chest, respect or perhaps fear. He forced a scoff. Anyone can memorize a phrase. That doesn't mean fluency. You're right, David replied, unshaken. That's why I brought this. From his backpack, he pulled a folder. Hassan's hands trembled as he opened it. Certificates, official, stamped, signed, proving fluency in 9 languages, issued by Columbia University's Community Extension and Advanced Programs. That's fake, Hassan muttered, his voice hollow. David calmly produced more. Completion of municipal library linguistics courses, simultaneous translation training, online certifications, all authentic. Hassan's arrogance cracked. This 14-year-old, the son of his cleaner, rivaled professional diplomats. How? Hassan whispered. David smiled faintly. What you don't know is that I've prepared for this moment for years. You think paper proves something? Hassan snapped. Anyone can cheat on online tests. David unzipped his backpack again, producing a tablet. Within seconds, a video call connected. A woman's face appeared. Professor Chin, David greeted in perfect Mandarin, could you confirm to Mr. Al-Mansouri my performance in your course? She responded rapidly in Mandarin, the words flowing naturally, complex structures beyond Hassan's comprehension. Finally, she switched to English. Mr. Al-Mansouri, David has been my best student in 15 years. At 14, he is fluent like a native. Extraordinary. Hassan hung up abruptly, shaken. He turned to Grace. Did you know this? She shook her head slowly. David has always been smart, but this, David explained gently. When my mom lost her second job, I returned to public school. Classes were too easy. So I used my time to study languages. I wanted to understand the world, and I learned something. When you speak to people in their own tongue, they stop seeing you as a stranger and start seeing you as human. The words landed like a hammer on Hassan's heart. He had hidden behind his Arab identity for decades, excusing his arrogance. This boy exposed it in one sentence. "You're 14. That's impossible." David smiled softly. The impossible is just the possible that hasn't happened yet. For the first time, Hassan looked at Grace with new eyes. She wasn't just his cleaner, she was a mother who had raised a prodigy. "David," Hassan asked carefully, "why come here today?" "You risk your mother's job." David's expression hardened. "Because I heard you yesterday, on the phone with Arab investors. You made mistakes, serious ones, that nearly cost you millions." Hassan stiffened. "What mistakes?" "You said Mubashir instead of Mustajil for urgency. You confused Muraik with Muraib when discussing deadlines, small errors that completely changed the meaning." Hassan's skin turned cold. Those investors had seemed confused. He had blamed the connection. David was right. He had nearly destroyed a $50 million deal. "How did you know?" "I've studied business Arabic for 2 years. It's my specialty," David replied. Hassan sat down heavily. A 14-year-old boy had just saved his empire. "David," Hassan murmured, "you saved my business." "Why?" David pulled another document from his bag. "Because I wanted to show you value isn't about money or birth, it's about contribution." The document detailed Hassan's company's communication flaws, lost contracts, mistranslations, weak cultural liaisons, and solutions, millions saved. "You analyzed my company?" Hassan whispered. "Only public records," David said. "Patterns were obvious." "Why?" "To prove people like me and my mom are not inferior. To show that intelligence comes from effort, not privilege." Hassan felt his foundations cracking. This boy, this son of a cleaning lady, had dismantled his worldview. "David, what do you want?" David's eyes burned with resolve. He lifted a small recorder from his backpack and pressed play. Hassan's own voice filled the office. "These black Americans are all the same. Lazy, uneducated, blaming others. That's why I only hire Arabs and whites for important positions." Grace gasped, covering her mouth. Hassan went pale. "Where did you get that?" he stammered. "In the elevator last week," David said evenly. "You didn't notice me." "That's illegal," Hassan shouted. "Not in New York," David replied calmly. "One-party consent, and the Labor Department would be very interested." Hassan's empire flashed before his eyes. Lawsuits, headlines, destruction. "What do you want?" he whispered again. David placed a contract on the desk. "My mother promoted to facility supervisor at $80,000, a scholarship program for disadvantaged youth, and hire me as junior language consultant." "You're 14. "And I speak 9 languages better than your executives," David shot back. "I've already proven my worth." Grace's eyes glistened with pride. "I've raised a man who knows his value." "You have 5 minutes," David said, "or this recording goes public." Hassan hesitated, then signed with a trembling hand. "You've taught me the most expensive lesson of my life." David shook his hand firmly. "Welcome to the 21st century, Mr. Al-Mansouri." 6 months later, Hassan al-Mansouri sat not in his penthouse but in the Bronx Public Library, surrounded by scholarship students. "Is it true," Maria, a 15-year-old Latina, asked, "that David blackmailed you into hiring him?" Hassan laughed genuinely. "It's true, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me." Grace now wore tailored suits as a respected supervisor. David, officially the youngest language consultant in corporate history, corrected million-dollar contracts daily. His work had already generated $200 million in new deals. Hassan told the students, "6 months ago I was rich but empty. I thought money made me superior. David showed me intelligence has no color, no class. It comes from effort and preparation. David added, I knew it would work because I researched Hassan. He grew up poor in Lebanon, came here at 16, barely spoke English but built an empire. He forgot his own story. I reminded him. The company transformed. Diversity soared. The scholarship program flourished. And Hassan rediscovered humanity. 1 year later, David translated in real time during a $500 million negotiation with Japanese investors. Reporters swarmed afterward. Mr. Al-Mansuri, how does it feel to have a 15-year-old advisor? Hassan smiled. It feels like true leadership. It's not about being the smartest in the room. It's about recognizing and nurturing intelligence in others. And you, David? A journalist asked. David answered without hesitation. Never let anyone define your worth by circumstances. Origins don't determine destiny, and always, always bring evidence. Grace added, this story proves that when talent meets opportunity, there are no limits. Hassan concluded, true wealth isn't what you accumulate, it's what you invest in people. And David Johnson's story became proof that real intelligence knows no boundaries of color, class, or age.